गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। 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 ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ ध्यायामि चिन्मयानन्दं गुरुदेवं महामतिं प्रेमपूर्णं क्रियाशीलं सदा लोकहिते रतं कृपालुं सुन्दराकारं समर्थं सत्यदर्शिनं वाचा तत्त्वप्रकाशिन्या शोकमोहविनाशिनम्। ॐ श्री सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते सम्प्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति डुक्कृङ्करणी। भगवद्गीता किञ्चिदधीता गङ्गा जललवकणिका पीता सकृदपि येन मुरारिसमर्चा क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा। भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते। अनन्तशास्त्रं बहुवेदितव्यम् अल्पश्च कालः बहवश्च विघ्नाः says a Subhashita. Ananta Shastram, there are plenty of Shastra. Ananta means never ending for one to study. Bahuveditavyam, lots to be learned. Alpascha kalaha, very little time we have. In one lifetime, we call it lifetime, but it is not as though it is so big, because so many years have gone in our childhood, so many years have gone in our old age, and in between we are so much preoccupied with gaining our livelihood. Therefore, alpascha kalaha bahavascha vignaha. So many obstacles, 1, 2, 3, ayyappa, there are thousands and lakhs and crores. When I watch a TV, nothing comes in between. Even if it comes, I keep it aside to watch that TV. But when I want to chant a Bhagavad Gita shloka or one chapter of Bhagavad Gita, then so many obstacles come. That is the time when people will want to call you on the phone. That is the time somebody will send a message, and actually we can postpone replying that, but then we want to reply immediately. Why? Habitual desperations. Therefore, Acharya says, Bhagavad Gita kinchidadita. In that limited time, what you have, kinchid, little you learn. Therefore, one person said, okay, Swamiji, I will learn the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Of what use is that? Arjuna's crying yoga. So, kinchit here has to be rightly understood as that which is useful for my life. That much I learn, I pick up from Bhagavad Gita. If I am a physically oriented person, Karma Yoga. If I am an emotional person, Bhakti Yoga. If I am a very rational person, Jnana Yoga. The first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita deals with the individual. And the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita deals with that supreme. And the third chapter, 6 chapters deals with that thou art. You are that. That is the whole essence of Bhagavad Gita. In that whatever you can, little you learn. Think. Kinchit adhita. Ganga jalalava kanika pita. This is what we explained yesterday. What is that? It refers to a particular tapas, austerity. And what is the example there? Going to a pilgrimage or going to a camp, for example, which takes me away from the comfort zone, which takes me away from the normal way of life to a life which is unpredictable. You remember those 3? Unpredictable, uncontrollable, and unsustainable is life. So the idea here given is, in the tapascharya, how am I going to handle the unpredictable situations of life, uncontrollable situations of life, and unsustainable aspects of life? This is where sadhana comes. This is where the strength of our knowledge comes. It shows us, it puts a mirror in front of us to show how much have I evolved. And the best part of it is, while it shows a mirror as to how much I have evolved, it also gives us another opportunity to gain the knowledge of my weaknesses and strengthen those weaknesses. So when I go to a camp, I may not get hot water. When I go to a camp, I may not get an independent room. When I go to some pilgrimage, I may have to sleep in a railway station sometimes. Who knows? At times, when some people travel in an AC compartment, the cold will be very high sometimes. It becomes difficult. If you ask him to lower, the other person say, why did you lower? There also ego clashes can come. How do I handle not others, but how do I handle myself? This ability to handle myself will make my mind more quieter, make my mind adjustable to situations which are unpredictable, and make my mind quieter and calmer, whereby the intelligence can function sharply. Param Pujya Gurudev used to say, quieter the mind, sharper the intellect. Think. Therefore, these are all very, very important factors. Then another very interesting aspect of this is, at certain times in tapas, I deny certain comforts voluntarily. Therefore, deliberate self-denial is to establish my mastery over my own senses. Please note, deliberate self-denial is to establish my mastery over my own senses. Is tapas. We gave the example of Ekadashi Vrata, where I voluntarily give up eating food. It is not to again tell others that I give up food. It is not to make people say, call up people and tell, today I am Ekadashi Vrata, therefore I can't do this work, I will be tired. I imagine myself. Nobody asked me to do Ekadashi Vrata. But if I have taken Ekadashi Vrata, then the purpose must be understood. Then the same Ekadashi Vrata will produce not only 100% result, it can produce 200% result. Think. Every single aspect of life has a meaning. And therefore, self-denial, a deliberate self-denial. I take up one sankalpa. What is that sankalpa? For 1 year, let us say, I will not eat that which I am very, very attached to, that which I love the most. I take a sankalpa. What? 1 year I will not eat, and watch my mind. When I watch my mind, I will definitely come to know that the mind at the initial stages is in turbulence. Why? Habits. Therefore, when I watch my mind, the intensity of the turbulence of my mind will definitely indicate the intensity of my attachment to that object. When I gain the mastery of my senses and I say no, there are two things. One is, if it is so irresistible, if I am so desperate, then it is worth giving up that habit because it disturbs me. If it does not actually matter to me whether having it or not having it, then there is no problem. Whether you have it or not have it, mind is not disturbed. So what is the lesson here? Mind matters. Therefore, take care of the mind through what? Austerity. Our emotional dependence on the external objects depends directly proportional to our disturbance in the mind in its absence. Therefore, hold on to the mind. When it is there, mind should not be disturbed, because enjoying certain aspects is also a disturbance in the mind. Not having it is obviously a disturbance in the mind. Both are a disturbance. The evolution process here is when I am undisturbed, undistracted, unwavering in both the situations, Whether I have it or I don't have it, I am undisturbed. This is the target, this is the goal, for which a habitual mind requires exercises to grow out of such movements between having and have not. Therefore, tapas is required. Then comes the third aspect of it. Sakridapiyena murari samarcha. Archa, samyak archa. Samarcha here represents to Archana. Whom? Murari. Murari here refers to Krishna or Vishnu. Sakridapi. Sakridapi means at least a day, if you can, offer your worship to Narayana, offer your worship to Krishna. Now, this is a very, very important aspect which represents culture in a human society. What is that? Now, every one of us have gone through this thing in our home. In fact, I mentioned a little yesterday. What happens at home with reference to the elders directly proportionally affects the children at home. Every behavior, every conduct of the father and mother leaves a film of registration in the mind of the children. I have always told about my grandmother in most of my talks. Those who are hearing me for some time must have heard this several times. My grandmother was very particular that we wake up before sunrise. She was very particular. No Sunday, no holiday. Come what may. Before sunrise, we must get up. So 5:45 is the last time. She will start at 5:30 because every grandmother, every mother knows a child will not get up and sit down. It will turn this side, that way, roll around and then get up. So 5:30 she will start, 5:45 we will get up. And 5:45 we have no choice. My grandmother was so particular that she will have one cold water in a tumbler near her. The last warning is she will show the cold water in her hand. Seeing that we will get up. Initially. Later that became the habit. It so happened after few months or years, probably maybe years, it feels so difficult, to get out of this, grow out of this somberitanam. It is very, very difficult. After probably a few years, my grandmother would not come and wake us up. We would wake up. Habits. Now, as soon as we wake up, we go brush our teeth, finish our morning chores, first thing come and fall at the feet of the parents. This she was very insistent. Come what may. First thing, go and do namaskaram. And the best part is, she will have to see that. She says you have to do it in front of me. She gets up at 4 o'clock. And once I do namaskaram to my parents, then I have to go and do namaskaram to the God. Not first God, first parents. What an amazing culture. What an amazing, habits which was given to us. A mind that is bowing down at the feet of the parents every day morning and also in the evening. Those days there was situation of people working late night and all. 5:30, both my parents would be at home. Go wash our hands hands and legs after coming back from play and do namaskaram to father and mother, then do namaskaram to the Bhagavan and then sit for study. She had no other expectation in our life. She had no interference in our life. She would not bother how we study or how it. That is your father's problem. I have nothing to do. But she would insist on this. This habit kept us obedient to our parents till their end. Think. Every day, morning or evening, our house was such that just the opposite was a temple. Every day, one must go to the temple and come. 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that doesn't matter. We must go enter the temple, go now, do namaskaram there and come. This was certain habits, which I would say habits initially. Then it became our culture. But all these are such strong habits which we developed, because of which our mind is so beautiful. And yes, every single person, for what it is, the mind may have developed certain other habits also, but these were much stronger than the other habits. Think. In front of Bhagavan every day, go stand for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, without thinking anything about the world. It's a fantastic habit. There are people who worship for 2.5, 3 hours a day, but their mind is not with the Bhagavan. Of what use is that? Think. It is not a habitual activity that is important. It is the deeper culture that it is important. Deeper culture that is important because our minds are conditioned by our culture. A good culture will bring out good thoughts. Good thoughts will bring out good actions. Good actions will bring out good results. Good results will strengthen good culture. This is the cycle. Second, when we say we have to develop good culture, it also keeps our mind quieter, calmer, and richer. And you will find when the mind is quieter, calmer, and richer, the intellect is sharper. And when the intellect is sharper, the intellect can make right decisions. To make right decisions, quieter mind is required. For a quieter mind, worship is the best time-tested method. Therefore, sakritapiyena murari samarcha. Then, at home, when there are such good vibrations, the children also pick up such good vibrations. When everyone in the family thus have got good vibrations, it is no more a house, it becomes a temple. Think. Earlier days, we used to have a complete room for puja. People who could afford. Now, people who could afford more have cornered the Bhagavan inside the kitchen. And in some cases, they have gone into dabba. Think. Such a big home which Bhagavan has given, we have no place for Bhagavan. Think. Meaning what? The priority is for my comfort and the priority is not for Bhagavan. When Bhagavan is not a priority, why will Bhagavan support us? Why will Bhagavan help us? 1. 2. The children at home will also develop such attitudes of comfort alone being the priority and Bhagavan not being the priority. So when they grow over, you will find many people have no time for Bhagavan at all. Think. What is it that we are teaching our next generation? Also, in a house, the evil forces can come and affect. It can play a role, but in a temple, evil forces have no place. When I convert my house into a temple through proper religious worship, then no evil force can come and affect my home. Why? It is no more a house, it is a temple. And when the evil forces will not come and affect the people in the house, because it is a temple, the children also will not develop bad qualities, evil qualities. Therefore, worship whichever devata. Here Acharya has given Krishna or Vishnu, but any Ishta devata, Kula devata, it doesn't matter. After all, everything is one Brahman only. In whichever form you may worship, you may worship. But the house is beautifully fortified by value addition, fortified by good qualities, good culture. And therefore, Sakritapiyena Murari Samarcha, and to that house, Yama na charcha kriyate. Yama will not come and disturb. Yama represents two things. One, of course, death. The other one is all that happens in the house which are painful. Sickness, fighting between each other. All these are nothing but an byproduct of not following the culture. Misunderstanding is a byproduct of not following the culture. Therefore, kriyate yasya yamena na charcha. Yama does not even come anywhere near. The other aspect of Yama is, he is Kalaha. Kalaha meaning what? Mortality. He is not mortal. He will kill mortality. In the sense what? When I am thus beautifully cultured, when my mind is available, when my mind is quiet, in such a mind, the thought of Brahma Jnanam is possible. Through a quieter mind, I have developed Jnana Yogya Siddhi. And there, Jnanam is possible. And once I gain the Brahma Jnanam, immortality is what I gain. I cross over Kala Tattvam. This is what it means. Therefore, one can definitely save oneself from bad influences and gain that immortality. One can transcend, if I may say so, one can transcend this Kala Tattvam. And how beautifully it is explained in the next shloka also. We will read the next shloka. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, iha samsare bahudustare, kripaya pare pahi murare. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, iha samsare bahudustare, kripaya pare pahi murare. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam bhaja mudhamate, samprapte sannihite kale, nahi nahi rakshati dukkham karani. I think you can recall that particular thought which we had discussed on kamaha. We have two types of kamaha, we said. What are they? Agantuka kamaha and swabhavika kamaha. Agantuka, individual based, and swabhavika is universal based. A universal based kamaha, everybody will obviously naturally have. Similarly, there is one problem which is universal, which everyone will have, no exception, whomsoever you are. You may be the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, or you may be a bhikari in the corner of the road. You may be a great saint, or you can be the worst person in the world. Whoever you are, tall, short, dark, bright, whatever can be the properties of the personality. This problem is universal. And what is that? The problem of samsara. Universal factor. What is samsara? Saranam. Saranam, samsara. Saranam meaning what? That which constantly moves and constantly changes. This samsara, samsarati, another way of explanation is samyak sarati. Sarati means that which goes, keeps moving. Every situation, every aspect of life is absolutely limited, conditioned, time bound, space bound. Again and again, we can refer to those three aspects: unpredictable, uncontrollable, unsustainable. On that day, I ended the talk with one question. Get me one aspect in this world which is permanent. Change alone is permanent. Change is the changeless truth of this world. When I started the talk, technically, scientifically, if I have to say, when I started the talk, I was a different person. When I conclude the talk, I am a different person. How do you say? Every second, so many millions of cells in my body die, and so many millions of cells in my body get created. Think. This is the truth of life. Asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, nashyati. Nashyati, then what? Again jayate. This is the cycle of life. So death is not an end of life. Death is another change until we come to understand the changeless aspect of life. When change is the permanent aspect of life, when we come to know nothing can be sustained, then what is the use of running behind the unsustainable, uncontrollable, unpredictable, useless things and beings of the world? Think. If I want permanent happiness, I cannot go behind impermanent things and beings. But how sad that we have taken this world to be permanent and Bhagavan is not a priority. Think. Acharya here introduces the most important aspect of his of the discussion. Spirituality is very, very difficult. Therefore, Bhagavan's Kripa alone can give us that strength. Binu Hari Kripa milahi nahi santa. Without Hari Kripa, nothing is possible. Without Hari Kripa, to get up in the morning is not possible. Without Hari Kripa, to sleep at night is not possible. Without Hari Kripa, one morsel of food is not possible. Without Hari Kripa, the experience of the world itself is not possible. Therefore, Acharya here very beautifully expresses or gives one very important thought. What is that? He Murare Kripaya Pahi. Apare Kripaya Pahi. He didn't say Kripaya Pahi. He said Apare Kripaya Pahi. Meaning what? I require extreme compassion. Why? Because I am so low. My mind is so low. My mind is so baser. To elevate this mind, to think of Bhagavan, it is not so easy. My habits of running behind all the petty, paltry, cheap pleasures of the world has taken me away from Bhagavan. Constantly my mind is thinking only on the objects of the world. Therefore, He Murare, He Krishna, Apare Kripaya. Apare Kripaya means what? With extreme compassion, Pahi, please protect me. Why? Because I am caught up in this waves of change. If I have to come out of these waves of change, then I require tremendous compassion, O God. And very many times you will find the changes are unwanted and unwarranted. Like for example, a transferable job in the banks, for example, 3 years one is transferred. Transferred meaning what? Again they have to go to an unknown place, unknown circumstances, unknown people around, and all that I have to work again and again. My children have to find a new school. They have to give up all the old friends. So these changes comes again and again, and when such changes come again and again, one finds oneself in a miserable condition if I don't have the ability to adapt myself. Think. Once I develop that ability to adapt myself to unknown external factors, then I will be able to be happy in spite of all changes that happen to me. In sadhana, numerable obstacles keep coming. That is why in every mantra we chant 3 times, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Why 3 times? Obstacles from within, obstacles from the external known sources, and obstacles from external unknown forces. 3 types of obstacles comes to us. Tapatraya, it is said. And for this tapatraya, to face them, one requires kripa of Bhagavan. Therefore, kripaya and apare kripaya. This is one. To face, to confront any obstacle, 2 things are very important. The first one, of course, is Bhagavan's kripa. And second one is human efforts. Both are equally important. Why do I say equally important? It is as important as the 2 wings of the plane or a bird. 2 wings are very important. And you cannot say one wing can be weaker, smaller, the other wing should be stronger. No. Both have to be equally strong. And what are the 2? 1, Bhagavan's kripa, and 2, Purushartha. Purushartha, human efforts, again is extremely important. So I have to put in my effort, and Bhagavan's kripa also should be there. Both are irreplaceable. Human efforts irreplaceable with Bhagavan's compassion. Bhagavan's compassion cannot be replaced with human efforts. Human efforts must be there. Bhagavan's kripa will be there. Then what is the effort here? The effort is my human effort also is Bhagavan's kripa. And through my activities, through my way of functioning, I must deserve Bhagavan's kripa. Bhagavan's kripa is eternal, but I must come to deserve to bring it into my life. Take charge of my life. For that, I have to be absolutely alert and vigilant. Since both are equally important, every Shastra, in whichever religion it may be, they say work is worship. Work with an attitude of worship, and worship in the form of work. In Kannada we say Kayakave Kailasa. Not like the Vidhana Saudha. Government's work is God's work. God alone should work. Politicians will not work. It is not like that. We have to put in our sincere religious effort to progress in our sadhana, evolve in our sadhana, and Bhagavan's blessings is eternally there. So here the Acharya says, please take me out of this change. Why? Iha samsare bahudustare. It is so painful, Bhagavan. This samsara is so painful. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. I have to again take birth. Again I have to live in that womb with all that malamutra and come out of the world. And the world is also equally filthy. Therefore, Bhagavan, I am suffering. I am in pain. Take me away from this. Iha samsare bahudustare apare kripaya. With greatest amount of compassion, pahi he murare. Therefore, this is nothing but a call for us to one, surrender at the feet of Bhagavan in the form of worship, and two, modify my attitudes in the world. We will continue tomorrow. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.